They have a combined 12 years in the National Football League. They combined for 65 career sacks, 232 tackles, 1 Pro Bowl selection, and 1 Employee of the Month award.
That's just a straight shooter with upper management written all over him.
It's Train and Grose on the All AZ Podcast Network.
Welcome in, and Merry Christmas, episode 57
Hi.
of Train and Grose.
Hey.
I looked it up, too, by the way, because we always do this. Who was the best person to wear whatever episode?
Oh, I got this one.
Number 57.
I got this one.
Give me.
Me.
I didn't know you were. I look at you at number 92.
That was my first number
Early
in the NFL.
days. Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis Colts. 57, baby.
I did not know that.
That's
You were
right.
13 at Notre Dame.
13 at Notre Dame, 57 in Indianapolis, and then 92 from then on out.
You didn't make the list.
Damn.
I think people more
What?
quick.
That's harsh.
They look at you as a number 92,
I know.
though.
What?
That's right.
Well, you and Dan Williams, I get confused.
Wow. I mean, at least give me, no disrespect to Dan Williams, and much love for you, brother. At least give me Frosty Rucker, though. Damn. I mean, if we're
Well,
gonna
but
go,
right after you retired,
yeah, Dan Williams
came in.
He was drafted.
And you and I were
yes.
doing the show, and I came in one day, and I said to him, Dan stretched out your number,
Yeah.
92.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold up.
Yeah.
How about this? How about Ricky Jackson,
Nice.
Dwight Stevenson,
Yep.
Johnny Blood? Those are 3 players that wore 57 in the Hall of Fame. And then they've got a whole list of players after that aren't yet in the Hall of Fame. And on that list is Ronald McKinnon.
Yeah, Ronnie Mac, my teammate.
There you go.
Man, he used to
Lorenzo
always
Alexander,
he
too.
used to always kill me because, you know, he would get tongue-tied when he had his mouthpiece in his mouth. And we used to have this one call under Viper 3 zone. And he would he would come to the huddle. If we had been in, like, you know, the second quarter, he would come in, he'd be like, under Viper 3 down. All right, Mac, I love you, brother, but you know I've said that to your face.
Take it.
Under Viper 3 down. And, I mean, we're like, what the hell is he saying? Because, you know, you're in the middle of a game, like you're trying to focus and get lined up, and the team's running to hurry up, and he's under Viper 3 down. Oh, it was great. It was great. Love you, Ronnie Mac.
Well, speaking of love for Ronnie Mac, and I've never met him, so I should probably say Ronald
Really?
McKinnon. No,
You've never read?
No,
Man.
but we were talking about the not doing the podcast, but I was talking to somebody about the Harlan Hill Award, which goes to the best Division II player, and he played at North Alabama, I want to say, which was back in the day was a power in Division II.
Yep.
And Cardinals actually have 2 players in their franchise history that won that Harlan Hill Award.
Wow.
Ronald McKinnon, of course, and then Johnny Bailey, way back in the day, who was from Texas.
Wow. Texas
A&I.
A&I.
I don't know what Texas A&I is now. They renamed a bunch of those smaller schools, but East Texas State or something like that.
Yeah, Texas State or something, I think it was.
Yeah. So Cardinals have some Division II history.
Wow. Shout out to Ronnie Mac and Johnny Bailey. My goodness, I hadn't heard that name in a long time.
The only reason I knew it is because I looked it up when we were talking about it, because I knew there was 2 players from Arizona or the Cardinals, because Johnny Bailey was St. Louis days, I believe.
Yates High School, by the way, in Houston.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Oh, Johnny Bailey was the man. Like, you know, there were a few guys back in the day that were all-time greats, and you know, he was one of them. And I think of what was my man's name? Was it Ronald Humphreys, the running back from Georgia? Went to Kashmir, and I remember watching him play in high school, and he was unbelievable. I think I may have butchered his name. Please forgive me, brother, but Johnny Bailey was of that ilk. He was one of those guys that you just had to watch. Big Al was another one of those guys. He and my man Canavis McGee that went to Colorado together.
Oh, Bill McCartney cleaned up in Houston.
Oh, without question.
Bill McCartney in those glory days of the CU Buffs.
Yeah.
Cleaned up in Houston, Texas.
That's why we cheered for Colorado. Oddly enough, in that game against Notre Dame, I cheered for Colorado.
What? Say what?
But yeah. I mean, it was 91. I was a sophomore in high school. Give me a break.
Were you thinking about it?
You didn't know yet.
I didn't know yet. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
By the way, correct myself. Texas A&I is Texas A&M University at Kingsville.
That's right.
You said Texas State. I started thinking of the movie Necessary Roughness.
Yeah. I said Texas State, yeah. So
well, and I've
fighting armadillos, baby.
absolutely
Wow.
been filling into the radio show, and didn't Michael Bankston went to Texas State, didn't he?
I don't know. I don't remember.
He's from somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I know because I was talking to him on the show the other day, and I butchered the mascot. I think it was a bobcat, but it's a bearcat.
Gotcha.
Oh, he went. Was it Sam Houston State?
Was it Sam Houston?
I think it's Sam Houston State.
Michael Bankston, if he hears this, he's going to get
Big
mad at me.
head.
He's going to get mad at me twice.
Big Mike, big head. You know, he's always staying ahead of the game. You know what I mean?
Oh no, that doesn't. That's no.
We get on each other about head size because he thinks my head is bigger than his. And I'm like, dude, are you crazy? Your head. I mean, seriously, man.
We got to get Michael Bankston on the podcast
Yeah,
and settle this once and
after
for all.
that-
It takes all day to cut his hair. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I mean that one. Okay, I give you one of those on that one. That's pretty good.
I've never heard that before. Never heard that before. That was a good one.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll be here all week. Speaking of being
We don't have
here,
to do we don't have to do dad jokes later.
Right, done.
Done. All right.
So you know, obviously we're here for the holiday season, and Christmas is right around the corner. And is it okay to do bags on Christmas Day? Like if all of the gifts that you see previously wrapped are all wrapped,
Yeah.
is it okay to throw a bag in there?
You mean like bag, like
Gift
a
bag?
festive gift bag with paper
With
to
the
cover?
paper, yes.
Absolutely, it is. That is the only way to go.
Nah.
Trust me. Well, okay. What do you look back? You walk into a party or you put something down under the tree, right, for the family or whatever it is. What looks better, the festive bag or how I know all three of us wrap presents?
But I do the effort though, because my kids have actually took time to wrap my gifts, and I feel like a curmudgeon if I don't.
Okay, that's fair.
You
That's
know what
fair.
I did?
But I think, I mean, if it's just a one-off, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But they all three. I got to give gifts for all three of them,
No, I
so I
know,
got to
but-
wrap it 3 times.
Right. Okay. So what are you asking? You're asking if it's okay to do all gifts?
Fair or foul?
All gifts or just one or two?
All the gifts that you
Yeah,
give.
one. I mean, all of them is a little much.
You got to make the effort.
Because you got
number one.
17 bags under the tree. I mean, that's a little.
I mean,
You got to make the effort, and sometimes there's weird shaped things that you can't wrap.
That's true.
But I'll meet you in the middle. I went out and I got. When's this going to broadcast?
Hopefully tonight.
All right. So
Okay.
we're recording the morning of Christmas Eve, bright and
Yeah.
early. I got Karen a present, and it was oddly shaped. But I was walking out of the store, and they had these people at a table, and for a donation, they would wrap your gift.
No question.
And I for one of the few times I had cash in my pocket,
That is a.
and I walked by, and they're like,
That's
no
the-
line. And I said, could you wrap this for me? And they said, we'd be happy to.
the real MVP.
Took the money out of my pocket, dropped it in their little container. 5 minutes later, I was in the
Yeah.
car with it had the bow. They had they gave me
The
a
ribbon
gift.
all wrapped around it.
They
string.
gave me a gift tag that all I had to do was write on it and then tie it on the bow. It was perfect.
If you guys have gone to Amazon, that $4.99 special.
They wrap.
They wrap it for you?
Oh,
Oh man, you're telling me this now?
Been all my life.
I did
not know that.
90% of my shopping on Amazon. Did
And you
not
know what the
that.
nice thing about that is?
It's all
their
stacked up in boxes in my office at the house right now.
and their gift paper doesn't look like anything of the gift paper in your house. So it comes under the tree, and people are like, "Ooh, where'd that
what's
one
that?
come from?"
Yeah.
Because if you wrap, you have one thing of paper, and you're wrapping your kids'
all of
presents.
them.
No, yeah.
You better make sure you write the name before you wrap it,
No, that's your brother. Is that your brother?
Crap.
I'm not sure. Which,
because there's nothing worse. I've done that.
Yeah.
You know, the day of opening gifts, like, oh, that wasn't. That's a horrible feeling.
I
Horrible
like it.
feeling.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Amazon
That's-
$4.99 special, bro.
That is a game changer. Game changer.
Really? Y'all
Yeah.
just now knowing
Did
this?
not know that. Like I said, 90% of my shopping was on Amazon, and right now I've got about 15 boxes in my office just stacked up.
Right before you click place the order, you got to scroll down, and it has a thing gifting. You got to click that, and then it'll give you a whole nother set of
That's beautiful.
Oh, options there?
options. Yeah, and it'll say $4.99, and you can even personalize it. You can even write a little personal note in there.
Amazon. God bless Amazon. It
all-
saved me this
It's
year.
an Amazon world, man.
Yeah.
We're just living in it.
Speaking of that, full disclosure, because this is what we do in
Oh,
this
here we
program.
go. Yeah.
I need to know if this is a foul or not. So we all had a good laugh and ripped my guy Mike Gross a little bit last show when we were talking about white elephant gifts. So in the name of science
Okay.
and out of curiosity,
Okay.
I went on Amazon and I found the very
The Oreo?
Oreo dunking
dunker?
kit, and I bought that SOB, and I'm taking it up. Hopefully they're not going to listen to this Before tomorrow. I'm taking that thing up to my brother's tomorrow as my white elephant gift, strictly in the name of science.
Yeah.
So I will have a full report of how it lands.
Okay.
Now, to be fair, I'm throwing in a gift card into that bad boy too, because we have a range of price that we do,
I got
right?
you.
So I got to meet the range of price.
That's right.
It's kind of like
a gift card.
It's like a trade in the NBA, right? You got to make sure you figure it out.
What kind of gift card?
Haven't decided that yet.
Like
I got like 6 different.
You can
gift cards
push it
for
over the
house.
top. In the drawer, you got gift cards.
Yeah, well, this time of year, you just grab extras because you don't know. You don't want to be. Here's the thing. This is a little pro tip.
Yeah.
All right. This time of year.
Pro tip from the
Because
professional regifter.
Right.
Well, how many times do you hang out with people that you're on that verge of? All right, I see them enough to where we might exchange gifts, but I don't know for sure, right?
Right.
And you don't want to make that other person feel awkward by not having one for them or giving them one and they don't have one for you.
There you
so you
go.
just keep a couple gift cards in your glove box.
They got to be Visa or American Express.
Yes.
They
Something
got to
along
be
those
universal.
lines.
They can't be specific stores because
Maybe a
you're
restaurant.
you're taking a chance because you're assuming that they're going to go to that restaurant.
Okay.
You can use the Visa or the American
Anywhere.
Express anywhere
And make
for anything.
and as long as it's the holiday cover, you're good.
It don't even matter. Like, it's cash money. That's like money in the bank for real.
But that's pro
So
tip.
thanks for being my friend. Here's $25.
Yes.
Why don't you just keep cash in your pocket then?
Because you can't do cash. There's no thought in that. This is at least a little bit of a thought,
Yeah.
right?
That's like, I'm walking out the store. Oh, yeah.
Hey, pro-
I need to know what degree more thought is there in a $25 gift card than you handed me 2 10s and a 5.
This is a pro tip, though. Keep a
You
couple.
hand me in one hand, you got 2 10s and a 5, and in the other hand, you got a $25 gift card, which is more thoughtful.
Keep a couple in your glove box because you never know.
I love you, man.
Yeah. So you're going to run into that person that got you a gift and you didn't have anything for them. Just keep a couple in there. So when you
Wow.
Hang on a second.
Wow.
I got one here for you. Yeah. So like when you swing by, that you're walking through Walmart or you're walking through Fry's or whatever, and you see that bank, that wall this time of year,
Bank,
just
right.
grab a couple.
Or the ATM.
No, the wall. That
I
it's
know
got
what
the,
you're
the
talking
gift
about,
cards.
but
Yeah.
Make sure you
You
get
said-
the gas points, though. Make sure you use the ones that get the gas points because
call.
gas points are at a premium these days.
Yes, they are.
The price of gas right now,
Yeah.
come on. I'm
He's
just
not
saying.
wrong. That's a pro tip. The next year, do it. I'm telling you. You'll save yourself in an awkward moment.
Make sure you get the gas
Somebody will
points.
give you a gift and you didn't get anything for them, and you're going to go,
So my thing is,
I'm good.
Joking about cash, I never have cash in my pocket.
Me
so
neither.
Karen and I, we go to a restaurant, and they've got some of these restaurants just throw the valet up, and that's all you can do.
Right.
that's the worst.
And you got to have cash, right?
Yeah.
So I've started keeping like if I have $2 or $3 in my pocket, I put it in the little thing in the armrest, and you don't know what my car looks like because I got cash in there now. But now you just got me thinking about that.
Yes.
So I need to have more cash reserves. Because
No. It's got to be a gift card.
Why does it have?
Because the word gift is involved. So if somebody gives you a gift, you can give them a gift card. You're gift for gift.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You're good. You're covered. Just have a couple in your
$25 gift card.
So
Yeah.
to let you guys know how much I loathe having cash in my hand or in on my person, yesterday I went to the ATM because I had a session with one of my clients and he paid me in cash, and I had $2 bills,
$1 bills.
2 $1 bills in my wallet. I went to the ATM to deposit the other money. I threw the $2.
Put them in there, yeah. I don't want this nasty stuff in my wallet.
It's not that it's nasty. It's just I feel that strongly about not having cash in my pocket. It makes
Isn't
me
it weird? Because I feel the same way.
because I want to spend
And
it.
you don't need.
I think it's a generational thing.
Well, that and you don't need cash for anything now. Like if
No.
you spend, you can. Like if you go to.
You don't even need a card. You can just have your phone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Apple card
Except
or
for
Even your
whatever.
watch nowadays.
except for a valet.
Yep.
That is it.
True.
Not if they have a card. Not if they got
What do
Venmo.
you do the tip? How are you going to tip?
You could do Venmo. You can scan
A lot of them
each
got
other's
Square.
Venmo account.
A lot of them got Square now, too.
Well, I have cash in my console, center console.
Keep them right there in your.
Hey, don't
now I could.
Don't tell people your secrets, man.
I know, right?
Then they find out what kind of card
Mike
you got,
Gross
then
got
you get jacked.
$400 in a center console.
No,
Well, not quite that much.
now you're getting jacked. I don't want you to get jacked, bro.
So anyway, that
people driving around listening to this podcast.
I will have a full report on how the Cookie Dipper package lands.
Speaking of which,
But I will be putting a gift card in there. I just don't know which one yet.
on Train and Grose, the Twitter handle, I put a picture last week of said
Yes.
Dunker.
Oreo Dunker, and I tagged the recipient from last year with our white elephant. And we all, as a family, we get together every Christmas night and do our white elephant. Well, she came back. She's a college batch, Jalila Kurgo, Sandra Day O'Connor, plays basketball in New York. She's home for the holidays, and they mocked me again a year
Oh,
later.
so it didn't land in your household.
Oh, no, Jilly. I figured, man, college, man, she's going to take it back to college. She's going to be the hit of the dorm.
Dude, part of the college experience is eating everything with your hands. What did you ever eat with a fork or a spoon in college?
Ramen,
I mean, go back and think about it.
Ramen noodle.
No, even that. If it was cold enough,
just reach in there.
just reach in there and go for it, brother. I mean,
You could drink it. Yeah, right out of that styrofoam cup.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
when did you use utensils in college? Think
It's
about
true.
it.
Nah.
For nothing.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Sandwiches.
Burgers.
Sandwiches.
Fries. Nothing.
Very true.
When did ramen become a big thing? Because I didn't eat a lot of ramen in college.
I never ate a lot of ramen. It's too salty for me.
Well, it is salty.
I just can't
Yeah.
do it.
It's not.
We used
not
to have
bestowing the health benefits.
Right.
It's
When I
just-
was a kid, we'd have it like when we went camping or whatever. You know, and that's about it. But then it did become a quick, easy thing. Like I remember my roommate I had, Jason. He had it on hand constantly
Ugh, God
when we
bless
were
him.
like 18, 19, 20, first apartment kind of thing.
He was overweight, wasn't he?
No, tall, skinny dude. Like couldn't put on weight. One of those dudes. Metabolism
drink a lot of water.
Yeah, something. He's one of those dudes whose metabolism he couldn't put on weight.
His thyroid was kind of off.
Yeah, must be.
Wow. We've covered a lot of topics, man. We went from the number 57 to cards to
Right.
cash.
Maybe we should just
To the size of Michael Bankston's head.
You should probably reset, and we can get into the
Extra
NFL
large.
on the other side.
I think I'm doing a show next week with in your absence, since
Yeah,
you're
you
going to
are.
work in Las Vegas, and I think Michael Bankson has a regular slot. I don't think
Every other week or so.
Do I know him well enough to say, I heard it takes all day to cut your hair? Do I know him that
It's
well?
fair on the radio.
Because he can't catch me.
'Cause he can't
Or just call him Hetty Murphy.
Oh. We are full of them today. Full of them.
We go at each other like that all the time. If you do that, he's going to say, you've been talking to B-Trade, haven't you? Because that's what we do all the time.
And I can't even remember what the context was, but because I think I did the show 2 weeks in a row,
Eddie
and I
Murphy.
mentioned your name, but I can't. It was in a real a football or a Cardinals context, and I mentioned your name.
He probably said something about my head.
No, he said nothing about your head, and he said something about Bertrand's very smart. Like he was very respectful on his answer.
No, I mean, it's all love. I mean,
I understand
we
that,
joke,
but you
it's
went
all
there
love.
right away.
Oh, I mean, but that's what we do. That's my guy. That's locker room talk. See,
Pencil
one thing
him in
that guys miss is they miss the locker room banter back and forth. So as soon as we see each other, we go right to the banter.
We're penciling him in.
Yeah.
He's
Big
coming.
bang.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you honestly reset? We'll come back on the other side and dive into the NFL.
Wanna do that?
Yeah, I think so. We have just grabbed that wheel of the car and yanked it left, right. We're all
It's fun.
over.
It's
It's beautiful.
a Christmas Eve morning.
It's a beautiful
Off the
segment.
rails,
I
brother.
guess it's Christmas Eve morn.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
say it that way. Like, Bertrand Berry, Mike Gross, Sean Cressman. This is episode 57 of Train and Grose. If you like that, stick around. We'll talk Arizona Cardinals, NFL on the other side.
Done.
I love it.
Train and Grose.
Train and Gross rolls on. Episode 57. Rainy morning in Phoenix, Arizona.
Kind of nice though, right? For the
Well,
holiday.
yeah, nice. I was listening to the news. The weather update came on. Said it's going to be a white Christmas up north, like just a couple hours out of town. Payson, Prescott, north. Going to have a white Christmas. Enjoy it.
Wow.
And I'm glad I don't have to shovel it.
Exactly. Flagstaff.
Who shoveled your snow in Denver?
I did, and I threw up my back, and it did not feel good. I was on an IR for at least 2-3 days. Not really, but
Personal
I was
IR. Yeah.
snowed in. I was actually in 2002. We were snowed in for 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember those days in Denver, though. Like, it would come out of nowhere. Like 70 degrees one day.
Yeah.
Next day, poof.
And if the machines didn't come by and do your road, oh, you can forget about it. Just camp out. I hope you went to the grocery store.
And if they did come by, they just piled it up on the end of the drive.
I didn't care. As long as I could get out of the house, that was fine.
Hey, speaking of which, 3 weeks left in the NFL season,
Yeah.
piling up. I don't know what the exam. Before we talk specifically about the Cardinals, man, the NFL, it's going to be a tightrope for them to get this season done with COVID.
Yeah.
You look at it, and we talked a little bit about this last year, where they're moving games and
It was a game on every week last year.
Right.
Every day of the
Every
week.
day.
every day of the week, and
Yeah.
and now this past week concluded in the NFL. You had 2 games on Tuesday night.
2 on Monday.
And then immediately they started the following week on. It's Thursday. Last night when we're recording, you had the 49ers and the Titans. So,
Yeah.
the scheduling mechanism in the NFL is going to be working overtime. And I think part of it is, there's so much parity in the National Football League. You look at it, and I'll use the example last week of the Cleveland Browns. Had they won that game against the Raiders, they would have been the number 3 seed in the AFC. They lost that game to the Raiders, and they fell all the way to number 12.
Yeah.
And, depending on where you come down on this, you call it parity, you call it average football. NFL's happy, though, because their TV partners are getting people to tune in because they can say, hey, the 7-7 Cleveland Browns with a shot, they're the number 12 seed with a shot for the playoffs. But I think this whole COVID piece is going to mix that up even more because there is a distinct advantage if you're playing teams that played on Tuesday night because there is no break on the other end.
Right.
So you play Tuesday, and you've talked about how hard it is to play on a short week.
Yes.
Then you come back on a short week, a Tuesday week, and the other thing that happens is routine is thrown off.
Absolutely.
You're not used to the Tuesday routine. At least you might not like Monday Night Football, but you know how to do it.
Yes. You have to do it. I mean, and you like to do it.
Right.
It takes a toll on your body.
Right.
Because you like the idea of being the only show in town for that particular night. But when you have those short weeks, you give up something on the other side. And what you give up is that health. You give up the overall sense of health and team's ability to bounce back for the remainder of the season.
Well, and then the other component of COVID is you look at it and see what, even if games aren't being canceled, last time I looked, there's over 150 players in the National Football League in COVID protocol of some way, some form.
Yep.
Right? If they've been vaccinated, it's different. And
all sports have really done it.
No, exactly. But specifically here,
yes.
And we've talked all year about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
And I think the consensus was don't sleep on them, even though they struggled out of the gate this year.
Yeah, they're figuring it out here the last
They're figuring it out,
weeks.
but now they're going into this weekend's game without a couple of their key players. Travis Kelce's down.
Tyreek
Hill's down. And, that matters.
It does.
If you're Patrick Mahomes and you don't have those two guys, that definitely matters. So COVID will be a big factor in the last 3 weeks of the National Football League.
Mike, there's 2 points. I think, yes, COVID will be a factor, but I think this is still par for the course for the NFL. Unlike the other sports, the NFL always deals with attrition at the end of the season.
Sure. It's just a different thing.
It's just a different thing. There's always going to be the teams that are the healthiest and have a little bit of luck on their sides. They're the ones that are going to always make the playoff runs and ultimately hoist up the Lombardi Trophy. But now you're starting to see that shift where it's not necessarily on the field injuries. Now you're seeing a virus that is coming in and doing the same things along those lines. And I think for these teams, you just look at them and say, hey, you got to do the best you can. That's why you have practice squad guys. That's why you have guys that are on the streets that are always keeping themselves ready because you just never know. The other thing about this is, in my opinion, I think this is exposing a lot of quarterbacks that were thought to be franchise quarterbacks that really aren't, because you take away a few of their pieces, take away a few of their weapons, they look like completely different quarterbacks. And I think if you're Baker Mayfield, you're absolutely nervous right now because there is no way, there is no chance that the Cleveland Browns are going to give him a long-term deal based on what we've seen this year and his performance. And you can talk about injuries to his key guys, but I just look at Baker Mayfield and what he's done. He hasn't really made a dent on the success or lack thereof of this team. He's kind of been a blah quarterback. And we also saw with Jimmy G last night, he's a guy that he kind of needs everything to be absolutely right for him to be a big-time quarterback, and he couldn't beat a Tennessee team that was depleted by the virus on last night.
So last night I'm watching that game, and I'm thinking, was the worst thing that ever happened to Jimmy G's career being traded to San Francisco? And what I mean by that is you watch what Bill Belichick and the Patriots are able to do right now with a rookie Mac Jones, because let's call it like it is. Jimmy G right now is a more talented NFL quarterback than Mac Jones is.
Is he?
I think he is, just because of having been there, done that, seen it, understands it situationally.
But you just made the point that he benefited from that system. So the fact that he left that system, that exposed him as not maybe who we thought he was.
Right, and what's what I'm getting at. Had Bill Belichick got his way, and Jimmy G was his next apparent to
the successor to Tom
Are we
Brady.
talking about Jimmy G in a completely different light? Like we're talking about Mac Jones? Because let's be real, Mac Jones is he's playing well, but he's not. He's not Aaron Rodgers out there, but we're talking about him like, oh, they've got their quarterback for the future. You know what I mean? Would we be talking about Jimmy G like, oh, they got their quarterback of the future because you'd have...
So you're talking about the quarterbacks or you're talking about the coaches in this situation? Because, the 49ers drafted their quarterback of the future.
Right, maybe both.
They drafted him. They have their Mac Jones right now.
But, well, they think they do.
No, that's my point, though.
Yeah.
That's my point. Yeah. So
Because
is this an indictment of the player or is this indictment of the coaching staff?
It's the player to me. It's the player.
Yeah,
the worst thing
agree.
that happened to Jimmy G was third down in the Super Bowl where he overthrew
the shot play down the middle. Yeah.
He's never recovered from that.
I'd agree with that.
He has not been the same quarterback
and I don't think
since that play.
You've mentioned this a couple times. I don't think the coaches have seen him the same since that that ball airmailed.
If you go back and you watch Kyle Shanahan on that play, they did a side-by-side comparison. They showed him on that play. He knew it. Like, he's jumping up like a little kid.
Like, I called it, I nailed it, I dialed it up.
And he's running down the field, and you see him jump because he knows that this is a touchdown. I think it's Emmanuel Sanders he was throwing to.
Yeah.
And he overthrows him, and you just see all of the life just leave Kyle Shanahan's body. And you could just tell in that moment, I can't win with this guy. You could just see it on his face. Like, he didn't say anything. He tried his best to keep a game face. But I'm telling you, his body language said, that's not my guy. And he has not had that same faith in Jimmy G since that moment.
I get it. And I made the comment this week before that game. I said, teams you don't want to see in the postseason. And I had the 49ers on that list. And they might still be on that list, maybe, but last night.
For everybody else.
For everybody else,
yes.
Right? But I just wonder, and Jimmy G, there is plenty of criticism to go around, but that is such a talented roster. You look at that, Deebo Samuels, that defense. I mean,
Nick Bosa has 17 sacks right now.
They should have a better whenever this run started under Shanahan and Lynch.
Yes.
They should have more to show for it than they did.
I would agree with that.
I mean. And everybody will go, well, injuries. Injuries are part of the NFL.
Right.
So this 49ers, whatever you want to talk, this era of the 49ers, whoever you want to blame for it, should have more to show for what they have.
Injuries are a part of the NFL, but it doesn't remove the fact, because you're right, everybody deals with injuries, but you can have – it doesn't mean it doesn't impact your football team.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't – yes, it's part of the game. You deal with it. You move on, next man up. But it doesn't mean it doesn't impact your football team.
Of course.
Like, when you look at the names that missed time last year for the 49ers, there's no way they're winning games. There's no way last year. Last year, forget about it. Throw it out the window. But I do agree. I feel like they've underachieved
just for the
under
era.
his watch.
When they came together took John Lynch out of the TV booth and they
gave them both 6-year contracts.
They should have more to show for it. It's my opinion.
But whose fault is that? To me, that's Jimmy G. If Jimmy G makes the throw to Emmanuel Sanders, they have more to show for it right now. If Jimmy G doesn't have the game that he had last night where he throws a red zone interception, and the game should have been about 21-0 at that point because they had so many opportunities to put that game away in the first half. 10-0 seemed like it seemed like a win for the Tennessee Titans, and they ran off the field just like that. They had that same feeling. They knew we got these guys. We took their best shot, and they only got 10 points on us. So to me, I think the way that game went down last night, I think it was a microcosm of this entire plan or the entire era of a Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and the rest of the 49ers, because you see the ability, you see the talent, but then for whatever reason it short-circuit and they never quite realize what they were supposed to be fully.
And that's fair, and that's totally fair. How many years ago was that Super Bowl?
It was 3 years ago.
And he's still the guy.
I mean, not really, because they've got the guy that's supposed to replace him.
Let's talk about the guy that's supposed to replace him, and Trey Lance, right?
Why isn't he playing right now?
And that's the question. They moved up in the draft and drafted a guy that had very, very little experience. Yeah. And you would think if he was on a trajectory to really be the guy, he would find the field a little bit more.
I think Kyle is overprotecting him. I think he's overprotecting him because of the fact that he hadn't played a lot.
And when they played him here in Arizona, you could see what they do for Jimmy G. What their playbook is not the playbook that they're going to have for Trey Lance.
Well,
right?
After this year, there's no excuses.
No, understood. No, I get that. But when they just were out of sync,
yes.
You could see the physical gifts that Trey Lance has.
Yes.
You could see perhaps the potential
of
what Trey Lance has.
He just wasn't ready.
And the plays that they have in that playbook. They ran a play down near the goal line, and somebody said it, man, if this is how you're going to use him now, you're not going to have him around. Remember? He put head first into the goal line, and he was done after that, basically. So, they didn't put in or they didn't have the ability to put in place to utilize him properly, and that's probably why he's not been on the field. And I guess they made the determination that Jimmy G's the best chance this year. But, man, again, after last night.
If there's ever an indictment on overpaying quarterbacks, last night's game was that example. because it's not just about that position. And we saw that. If you really have that guy in Jimmy G, he's supposed to get that win home.
Right.
Everything about that game said that the 49ers were supposed to win that game. And the fact that he did not get that game home, it highlights the fact that, yeah, even though you give these guys all the money and you give all the rules towards this particular position, they still need others in order to win. Hello, Tom Brady. If you talk about Tom Brady and what he's been able to accomplish over his career, you take those first 3 Super Bowls, Tom Brady really isn't the MVP when you start talking about those teams and why they got to where they were.
If you're going back to what you started this off, talking about quarterbacks and being overpaid.
Yes.
If you're the Cleveland Browns, are you looking at the San Francisco 49ers in making decisions about Baker Mayfield?
I think you just look at Baker Mayfield and what he's done in a vacuum and say, hell no, we're not paying him all that money. For what? Because they've had success without him. That roster is good enough to win minus the quarterback. The quarterback is the biggest question mark on the team, and you can't give a guy the most money on the team if he's the biggest question mark. Right?
No argument there. They're number 12. Cleveland Browns are number 12 in the AFC right now at 7-7.
How?
And
with that roster?
They are very
how?
much in the playoff race.
But how?
They should be, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah, absolutely. And we saw that when the Cardinals went back there last October, was it? Whenever it was.
We'll deal with them in a second.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, they're not escaping. But my point is, does that change the calculus if this team qualifies for the playoffs again?
No, because they didn't get there because of him. You still look at the numbers and you still look at his impact on this team. They put together a Super Bowl caliber roster around Baker Mayfield. They tried to build this thing around him and tried to hide his inefficiencies. The fact that he's slow, the fact that he can't run, the fact that decision making is poor, and they even tried to get Odell Beckham Jr. out of there and make him look like the scapegoat. But even since he's been gone, Baker Mayfield still hadn't been able to do anything. So that was a mistake. And now you're running out of excuses. It's like, okay, now what? What are you going to say now? As far as Baker Mayfield is concerned. And I think they've got a real decision to make. If you're Stefanski and that brass up there, you got a real difficult choice to make here going into this offseason.
They've made it, haven't they? I think they have. I mean,
you can bring him back next year, but that's only because you don't have a better option than the draft coming up.
But I mean, I think to the point, like whatever happens, because if he was going to get the deal,
no,
right.
That's
the AFC. Before we jump over to the NFC and the Cardinals, there are 13 teams right now
that are still in it
with 3 weeks left to go in the NFL season. Broncos are the 13th seed because of the tiebreakers.
13 out of 16 that still have a chance.
They still have a chance.
That's a dream for the NFL. They couldn't be happier.
CBS and Fox are so happy today.
They cannot be happier.
Meanwhile, you jump over to the NFC, a little bit tighter. 2 teams have already clinched after last night's game. The Cowboys clinched, and the Packers, they clinched, 2 weeks ago because of that division. But there's still arguably, I know mathematically, there's still a chance for more than this. But 11 teams. You go all the way down to Atlanta at 6-8. They are still in contention.
Sure.
A little bit tougher road. They'd be better off shape if they were in the AFC. But you've got, again, not as clear as many teams, but, again, 11 teams. You look at it, and is Atlanta a team that you look at and say that's a playoff caliber football team?
No, they're not.
Is the Washington football team a team you look at and go, wow, can't wait to see these guys in the postseason?
Who's the quarterback this week? I mean,
right.
What are we talking about?
Exactly.
The biggest question mark in this entire conference is our Arizona Cardinals.
Yep.
And for them in 2 weeks to have gone from the top seed, everything's flying high, and they are looking at hosting all the playoff games in State Farm Stadium, to now they're probably going to have to go on the road for the first game. Yeah. Because right now they're in a tie with the Los Angeles Rams for the division lead.
As we record this, Cardinals and the Rams 10-4 each. Cardinals, if the season ended today, which it doesn't, they would get the number 4 seed, the higher seed, because of their record within the NFC West. The Cardinals are 4-1. The Rams are 3-2.
The slimmest of margin they would win the NFC West.
Cardinals have 1 game left in the NFC West at home, final week of the year against the Seahawks. And the Rams, their nemesis, the 49ers, are the last game on that schedule. And that game will be interesting because of what we talked about already with the 49ers.
Mike, we can bring out stats till we're blue in the face, but all you have to do is look at the eye test with the Cardinals. The Cardinals just do not look like a team that is vying for a Super Bowl. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. Yes, they've had DeAndre Hopkins out. They've had Kyler Murray out for some time. But they played well when those guys were out. And here all of a sudden you get to the Monday night against the Rams. They don't do anything. And then the Detroit Lions. My goodness. If you have Super Bowl aspirations, you do not lose to a 1-11-1 Detroit Lions team on the road. And here's my thought about the Detroit Lions and their perspective to the Arizona Cardinals, Mike. Just bear with me 1 second.
Yep.
The Detroit Lions look at the Arizona Cardinals as they are equals. They look at them on the same level. You take out 2008, 2009, maybe even 2015, those years that the Cardinals had success. Mm-hmm. For the last 40 years, those two organizations have pretty much looked identical as far as their standing in the entire NFC. Mm-hmm. And so I think the Detroit Lions, who every year we played, they always played us tough because they don't fear the Cardinals. Yeah. They look at them as a mirror of themselves. If we go out there and we play hard, this team gives us no reason to fear them whatsoever. And to me, that's the biggest indictment on the Arizona Cardinals in the current state of where they're at.
That's the balanced schedule in the NFL means the Cardinals and the Cardinals and the Lions see each other a lot. Fourth place team in the West plays the fourth team, and so
they see themselves exactly the same.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right.
They have no fear of them.
You look at the number of times these two teams have played over that bears it out. And look, you look at the last two games. To your point, the Cardinals were 10-2, or they were the talk of the NFL. Now they're 10-4. In my mind, you've got to separate it. I'm not going to make any excuses, and we talked about this on the last podcast. The Rams are a good football team. The Rams are a team at the beginning of the season that a lot of people said, look, Matthew Stafford, this is a team that will play for the Super Bowl, which will be played in their own building. So
they pushed all their chips in the middle.
Exactly. So I need to separate the Rams and the Cardinals because the Rams are a good football team.
Yes.
And the Cardinals beat them in Los Angeles. Soundly.
Yes.
So, okay, it's a push with these two teams. Mm-hmm. To your point, the Lions are awful. And I was watching this game, and I said halfway through the first quarter and it was still anything could have happened at that point.
Sure.
I said the Cardinals look like they don't want to be here. They look disinterested. I mean, I'm not talking about schemes. I'm not talking about they just
body language.
Just the effort that you could see from TV.
Yes.
And I barely played high school football, so I'm not. This is not me criticizing guys that can do things that but you just look at it and you can tell somebody. Like if you go to a grocery store and dude's bagging your groceries and he doesn't want to be
he's having a good day or a bad day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw from the Arizona Cardinals. And then fast forward to the end of that game, I hopped in the car running errands, and our good friend Ron Wolfley on the Arizona Cardinals radio network, I didn't hear the question, but I can guess what it was because he said something like, look, it is not a head coach's job or a position coach's job to get a guy ready to play in the National Football League mentally.
No, you get paid. I agree with that.
And so my question is, what the hell is going on in that locker room? Like, because again, they didn't look like they wanted to be there. Like we can break down the X's and O's and the turnovers and all of it.
Okay, let's get real. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. I think at some point you have to start taking the C's off the chest of some of these players. And I'm not just talking about the Cardinals. I'm just talking about around the NFL because it's become more of a popularity contest. Mm-hmm. To have that C on your chest, it used to mean something. When they first came out with it, I believe it was 2006, 2007, it meant something to have that C. It meant something to be a team captain. But now it's become a popularity contest. And you look at the Arizona Cardinals in 2021, almost half of their captains are done. They didn't even play in that game against the Detroit Lions. So you're talking about leadership, but the guys that are actually called on to be leaders can't do anything for you. DeAndre Hopkins can't do anything for you. J.J. Watt can't do anything for you. Right. Rodney Hudson, for a long time during the course of the season, couldn't do anything for you. Kyler Murray, we've talked about his maturity level at length. And so when you start talking about who is the true leader of this team, who is it? Who is the guy that's going to be like, hey, guys, rally around me. I'm the guy that's going to get us to where we need to go. Follow me. Who's that guy? Chandler Jones could be that guy. You think about maybe even, is it James Conner? I mean, who is that guy? Who is the person, who is the player that you look at on this roster currently that you look at and say, that's the guy right there. He is the unquestioned leader of this team. This team rally behind him. He's the emotional leader. I know how this team is going to fare because I see how he is playing.
That's a wonderful question. I mean, if I was voting, James Conner and Jordan Hicks would be the two that I'd give it to. But, I mean, Jordan Hicks was 1 foot out the door. So, to your point about the popularity contest, right? So, I don't know what it is. But, like I said, this is, to your point, this is going from early December, people making Super Bowl plans to very quickly, a team that will be playing a road game as a wild card team.
And I'm not letting Cliff Kingsbury off the hook either.
No, absolutely not.
Bingo.
Here's the thing. Here's my thing, Mike. I hate to keep going on these soliloquies, but
that's fine.
When I look at Cliff Kingsbury and I look at that game against the Detroit Lions, if you liken it to a heavyweight fight, there was no counterpunch. The Cardinals got hit in the first round, and they never recovered from that first hit. You saw two teams with very different body languages. And, yeah, it is not the coach's responsibility to get them up for the game, but it is up to the coach to make sure he lights a fire and does something to motivate that team. And you just don't see any adjustments. Where are the adjustments? Where is the counterpunch? Where is, hey, we're going to come at these guys that they came at us? Where's the rallying the guys on the sidelines like, get your asses in gear. Let's go. Let's do this. You are allowed to do that as a head coach. Yes, Absolutely. These are grown men, and yes, they get paid. But at some point, you are given the title of a head coach for a reason. You're supposed to be able to guide these men. We talk about Mike Tomlin all the time and his ability to lead and be that emotional balance for this team. You talk about Bill Belichick. As much as he doesn't say in the public eye, you know that there's no doubt who the leader is of that organization behind the scenes and when it matters most.
Oh, yeah, and there's no doubt that he doesn't care about your feelings or anything like that because you hear stuff leak out. No, I get it, and there's no free pass for Cliff Kingsbury or the coaching staff because we'll talk about it in a minute because Christmas night the Cardinals have the Colts coming in. I think Vance Joseph.
They're in trouble.
Vance Joseph is in the spotlight as well. No, Cliff Kingsbury. When you believe your own press clippings or whatever, there's kick a field goal, get the points on the board. Just stuff like that. The end of the Rams game, the clock management decision. So no, it's been I made this point to someone. It's been a total team effort.
Yes.
When you look at it, because sometimes you look at it and you can, like the 49ers last night, we could say, man, Jimmy G cost him that game the way he played.
Yes, he did.
Everybody else played well enough to win. Mm-hmm. You can't do that with the Cardinals.
No, you can split that pie up at least 10 different ways.
The players played well enough, but the coach made bad decisions. No, that's not the case. Kyler Murray's interceptions. That was part of it.
Going for it on fourth down when you should have taken the points.
The rush defense.
Yeah.
You're talking about what they got coming tomorrow night. The Lions elevated a player off the practice squad, and he was gashing them.
Mike, the Indianapolis Colts are coming off the buses running the football. Come tomorrow. When they get off the buses at State Farm Stadium, Jonathan Taylor's going to be running the football.
They're going to hand the ball to him on the stairs.
He's going to have the ball. He's going to be running into the locker room and all throughout State Farm Stadium. I'm just telling you right now. If they don't know what that game plan is, I don't know what they've been doing all week. Because I promise you, he is going to get at least 20 to 25 carries come tomorrow.
And so at 5.6 yards per carry times 20. Man, that's almost 200
And they are
yards.
8-0, the Colts are, when he reaches 100-plus yards. That's their goal. Get him to 100-plus yards.
You don't think they're going to get a healthy serving of Jonathan Taylor? Oh, my goodness. You think the turkeys are going to be stuffed tomorrow? Boy, they're going to be stuffing that ball down the throat.
25 yards
on the Cardinals.
25 carries times 5.6 yards per carry. Carry the 140 yards, you thinking?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Couple TDs?
Somewhere in there.
TDs.
Guess who's the starting running back on my fantasy team?
Okay. Now we get it.
Are we playing for money this year in that league?
Yeah, the league you're in.
Yeah, let's go,
You're one of the
Taylor.
4 left. We looked it up yesterday because Dan Minucci's one of the other.
Wow.
You and him are 2 of the 4 that are left.
Wow.
And the winner, I think, is a $1,200 pot.
Whoa. Woo.
Yeah.
So how
Get Miss
satisfying?
Tasty on lane 1.
How satisfying would it be to have it come down to you and Minucci and you beat him head to head? Look at your face. Like your face just lit up like you just ate sugar like for the first time in your life.
Have it come down to quarterback play. My quarterback outperformed Minucci's quarterback. Boom. Take that.
I love it.
Take that, Minucci.
Wow.
So we'll keep an eye on it. Again, we're broadcasting right up against the start of games this weekend. It's Christmas Eve here in Phoenix, and we're going to come right back after the holiday, so we'll break it down. On the other side, NBA. It's Christmas games. NBA put out
there Christmas games?
Well, that's it. And we'll talk about that coming up on Train and Grose.
Train and Grose.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Train and Grose.
That's
Christmas
right.
Eve edition.
That's right.
If you're watching on YouTube, I won the ugly sweater contest.
Yes, you did. Because my sweater ain't ugly, brother. I'm just saying. I'm proud of this logo. You know what I mean?
You should be.
There's nothing ugly about
Grose
this.
has got for those that aren't watching and just listening to this version, he's got a sweater that's got it's like bricks across the whole thing.
It's got a fireplace.
It's got a fireplace on the front, and then on the top.
It is a fireplace.
Yeah, and then on the you're right. The whole thing is a fireplace because of the brick out layer.
Yeah.
And then he's got 3 stockings above the fire.
They were hung
like
by the
legit
chimney.
stockings, not just pictures of stockings. These are 3 actual stockings hanging from the man's sweater.
And they were hung by the chimney with care.
I mean,
And I don't eat in this sweater because I don't know how you could wash it.
You might get some crumbs that fall into the
I
stocking.
don't mind the
and then
crumbs so
what do
much,
you
but
do?
like if you got a stain on the fireplace, man, they can't throw this in the washing machine. Take it to a dry clean and be like, don't ruin this.
all right, I'm going to go ahead and go there. Mike, I mean, I look at that shirt, the stockings. Why is the middle one hung lower than the chest?
And it is too.
I'll be all self-conscious the rest of this. Mm-hmm. You couldn't have waited till after we were recording?
It's all right, bro. The middle one just does.
It dips a little.
Yeah, I mean, so when you put them all together, like if you sit and you have your shoulders shrugged, now you got it does.
Oh, no. Don't do that ever again, no, please. Don't do that ever again.
Oh, man.
We should stop now.
So the NBA.
Meanwhile, in the National Basketballs. So it is Christmas Eve, and that means the NBA season starts officially tomorrow.
Yeah. And in some people's minds.
In some people's minds.
Yes.
But, you look at it, though, and COVID is for real. In case.
Ask the Nets, right? My goodness.
Yeah. You've got games starting at 10 a.m. Arizona time tomorrow. But the league has put out, and I don't know if any official decisions have been made. I'm looking at the ESPN website saying, hey, sit tight, because game times will change based on COVID and based on what our TV partners want to do.
Yep.
The first game's on ESPN. The next 3 are on ABC, and then the final 2 are on ESPN. So they will move them around accordingly, probably to take care of ABC so they have programming.
So, Mike, I really believe the NBA is in trouble this year. I think they didn't really think this one through, and here's why. Because usually Christmas is a day that they have all to themselves. It's usually a weekday.
Yep.
But every so often, every couple years, the Christmas holiday falls on a weekend.
Yep.
And when you go up against the NFL, it is not going to end well for the NBA. I love the matchups, and if the stars were actually going to play that were supposed to play, because right now there's a lot of stars that are going to be missing from these NBA games. But then you also factor in the NFL with their slick self. They put the Packers and the Browns, who are both playoff teams, at the early start game in the NFL, and then you have the Cardinals and the Colts. All 4 teams are playoff teams. So these aren't dog games. These are games that people are actually going to want to watch because, one, you've got quarterbacks on all 4 teams that are very interesting and got their own storylines. And when you start talking about the playoff chase, yeah, you just said it. The NBA feels like their season just started. Well, the NFL is coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
And these storylines are still being written as we go. So when you start looking at what am I going to watch, I don't know. The NBA might be short. They got 5 games on the lineup. I do believe that the NFL is going to fare out better than the NBA.
Oh, I think you're 100% right. And I think the NBA knew that when this came out, because you look at the Golden State-Phoenix game. It goes at 3 o'clock. That's a game typically I think that would be the later game. Mm-hmm. But 6 o'clock would be the next option, and that's when the NFL game in town kicks up. So they didn't – even in the Phoenix market, they didn't want to put – those 2, and they didn't know when these things came out that the Cardinals would have, again, not the last 2 weeks.
How about that? The Cardinals versus the Suns.
Yeah.
You got.
But let me ask you this.
City.
So what you're going to have, and I believe the Cardinals game is on NBC because it's a Saturday night game.
Probably, possibly.
If you put Cardinals, Colts, Suns, Golden State against each other head to head on ABC versus Fox or NBC, like not cable.
Yeah.
Who wins the battle?
It's going to be the Cardinals. And
I think that every city in the NBA, that's the story.
And it's unfortunate because, the Suns are having a better season right now than the Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals are having a good season, but the Suns look like every bit the team that went to the NBA
best team in the
Finals.
league right now.
Yes. And going against Golden State, I mean, we see what Steph Curry's done the first part of the season, even though to some people, the season just started. I mean, Steph Curry has already put himself squarely in the MVP conversation with Kevin Durant as his counter. But when you start looking at what's more aesthetically pleasing, a regular season game on Christmas Day as opposed to a playoff chase type game, it's still regular season, but that's later on in that particular sports season. I think just from an entertainment value, you're going to get much more excitement, much more effort from the players in the football game than you are the basketball game, because that's still just one of 82. Whereas here, you've got 2 games after this, and all 4 teams are actually playing for something yet still.
The Cardinals and the Colts, technically the national provider is the NFL Network. So that means it'll probably be on ABC 15 if memory serves. No, it can't be because that's
Fox.
NBA.
Fox.
It's got to be Fox.
Yeah.
Either way, NFL rules are if it's on cable, it comes on to one of the local outlets. So we'll find out. But you're right. And, the Suns specifically, to build on that, remarkable. You lose Devin Booker for a stretch, they don't skip a beat. And the nice thing is, and we talked about this, you can take your time bringing Devin Booker back because everybody's picking it up and they're not losing any ground.
Yeah.
And you asked a question a week ago about what looks best for the NBA in terms of matchups. If you fast forward all the way out to the summertime, man, the Suns aren't giving any ground. We both agreed it'd probably be nice to see something like a Golden State-Brooklyn type matchup. Suns aren't ceding any ground in that argument. They heard us and they're like, nah, we'll have a say in this.
Mike, I think we're looking at the Western Conference Final preview on Christmas Day. I really do believe that.
Right.
I think the Suns and the Golden State Warriors are going to be the 2 teams standing. And for Steph Curry, I want to see Steph Curry as a guy that loves the game of basketball. I want to see the Suns and the Warriors, but as a guy who made my living playing football, I'm going to watch the Cardinals Colts if it comes down to it. If you make me choose, I'm going to choose the one that actually gave me my life. And that doesn't slight NBA at all, because I used to be jealous of my brother and my mom and my dad because they were all basketball players, and I wish I was a little bit taller. You know what I mean? To the song from way back when. Skee-Lo, thank you so much. Shout out to him. And so it's almost you can't win. You know what I mean? Because while you're chasing one, the other one's getting away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that old adage. If you're watching the football game, you're missing the basketball game. If you're watching the basketball game, you're missing the football game.
Sure. And, the other thing that's nice with the NBA, this is the 3rd of 4 matchups between the Suns and the Warriors this season. They have already split the first 2 1-1. Play tomorrow in Phoenix, and then not till late in the season do the Suns make a return trip to the Bay Area to see the Warriors for the final regular season matchup. But like you said, this is a matchup right now that and again, we've been proven wrong when we say things in December and then April gets here.
Yeah.
But this looks like, you're 1 and 2 seed in the Western Conference.
Yeah, Mike, and I want to just on a side note, have we witnessed the total decline of one of the all-time greats in the NBA? Is this it for LeBron and the Lakers? Because this team, they got housed by the San Antonio Spurs last night, and it was not even close. And before that, they were housed by the Phoenix Suns. And it's not always about injuries with this team. This team is just old, and this team looks disinterested. And I just wonder, is this at the expense of the end of a brilliant career of one LeBron James? Because, one, I don't think he's going to win another title. And it just doesn't look good. Like, it actually is not like, for the first time in my viewing life, watching basketball, I actually turned off a game with LeBron James playing.
Yeah, look, just
didn't want to watch it anymore.
I went back to see our friends at V's yesterday.
Okay.
And they had one of the ESPN shows on, and they were talking about the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yes.
And somebody said something to the effect of, well, you don't want any part of these guys if they get healthy in the postseason. And I'm like, no. We heard that last year.
Nobody cares.
We heard this last year.
They're just a really poorly constructed basketball team this time around. Like, it's just done. Like,
Anthony Davis is out with an injury again.
Right. But again, even if they're fully healthy, I don't think they're winning the West.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Have we seen the end of a bridge? Because if that's the case, no matter what they do going forward, there's not going to be a trade that's going to put them over the top.
What Bob Dylan say? It's better to burn out than fade away.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I look at it and I say, man, have we not taken the time to really give LeBron? I mean, I know he's always in the discussion and he's always being talked about, but if we're really honest with ourselves, he has been one of the best players we've ever seen play this game.
Oh, hands down.
And for him to be at the end of his career, I don't know if we've taken enough time to really appreciate what we're witnessing, because we saw it with Kobe. Kobe was a little bit uglier because at one point he wanted to leave Los Angeles and go somewhere else, and he was robbed by a few years with the injury bug. You know, he had the Achilles and of course he had the knee and all that kind of stuff. But with LeBron, you haven't really had that. You've had injuries here and there, but nothing that took him out for a whole season where he just was gone.
Just a slow decline.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me like that. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. And I think like overnight they became irrelevant. This is a team that 2 years ago was holding up the Larry O'Brien, and he was like, I want my damn respect. The Lakers want their respect. The players want their respect. I want my damn respect too. And in basically a year and a half, 2 seasons, we've seen this team go from there to basically like, oh, the Lakers are on. I want to watch something else.
No, it's a slow decline. You know, and the pieces around him, it's poorly constituted. And then the other thing, again, I go back to it. Anthony Davis, like.
He's not who we thought he was.
Again, the show that I was listening to, I wish I knew who to give credit for and what the program, but it was ESPN, one of their morning talk shows, saying that, you know, this guy should be a top 5 player in the league.
He's a top 5 talent, but he's not a top 5 player.
Right. Exactly.
That was Get Up.
You heard the same thing.
Yep.
Okay, so you heard the same thing.
Yes.
So they were talking about this Lakers team. Mm-hmm. And it's poorly constituted, and then the pieces that you've got are
But is it poorly constituted, or is it just the pieces aren't doing what they were supposed to do?
I think it's poorly constituted myself. I think Toy Story. What's the kid that lived next door with the weird toys?
Sid or something like that. Mm-hmm.
Where he's got the you just took like, hey, Carmelo used to be good. We'll take one of those.
Wow.
Like
Russell Wilson used to be, or Russell Westbrook
used to be good. We'll take a little bit of that.
Dude, I saw a stat this week about him going into the Suns game. He had at that point completed 400 consecutive games with at least 1 turnover. That was the most in NBA history by like 250.
Wow.
And the closest one was James Harden, and that wasn't active anymore apparently.
Wow.
He had snapped that streak. I mean, that's always just been his issue was turnovers.
Well, that's because he plays so hard, and I think when you play that fast, you're going to have times where you're a little bit out of control. Sure. That's who he is. Mm-hmm. You understand that, but you get so much on the positive side that you're willing to overlook that. And I think with this Lakers team, because he's not as ball dominant as he once was, when he has those turnovers now, it's much more impactful on the overall team success, because if you're the point guard and you turn it over 6 times, but you've had the ball the majority of the time, well, you know, those 6 possessions get lost in the minutia of the game. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really cost the team. But if you're talking about a guy that's got 7, or if he's got 12 plays called for him, and 6 of them he turns the ball over, that's a bigger deal. That's more of an impact on that team. And I think that's what we're seeing with Russell Westbrook is the less he has the ball in his hands, but yet he's still turning that ball over at the same clip, it makes it for
put it this way. He had 7. So I saw that stat going into the Suns game. He had 7 more against the Suns. Like it's just too much. And then he's not consistent enough shooting the ball from the outside either, which is in today's NBA, it's rough, especially on that roster when you got so many guys that want to play downhill.
Yes,
you know.
No, you look at it, and so here we are, Christmas. The season starts, and what Charles Barkley's saying. Lakers are under 500.
Wow.
Lakers are under 500.
Wow. And
they get to be part of the Christmas Day schedule tomorrow because they are the Lakers. But
nobody fears them. Nobody worries. I mean, they're not even that draw to opposing teams. Like when they go on the road, they're not that team anymore. Because, it used to be, man, when do the Lakers come into town? And you would set aside a certain amount of money to get tickets for that particular game. People aren't doing that anymore. And with the LeBron James led team, I'm just not used to seeing that. It feels and looks weird.
And then for LA basketball too, because last year at the start of last season, the conversation was the Western Conference rolls through Los Angeles.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be an all LA final.
Right, Clippers and the Lakers. Combined right now, they're 1 game over 500.
Jeez.
Right?
Lakers are 1 game under 500. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So anyways, NBA season starts tomorrow, Christmas Day, and we'll see again. And like all other sports, although the NBA has some flexibility, because the schedule's longer and you can move some things around. But COVID is playing a part of it. I haven't seen anything official. So as it stands right now, they are playing all the games on Christmas Day. But like you said, Brooklyn definitely impacted by that. And then their counterparts, because the NBA and the NHL seasons run consecutively, basically, together. NHL shut it down for a week. Now, they do have the issue of cross-border travel between Canada and the U.S. that the NBA, for the most part, doesn't have to deal with. But somebody made the point, and I agree with it, keep an eye on Toronto. Yeah. Because if they say, look, we're not going to allow this cross-border travel because COVID keeps coming back, they might move them out of Toronto again.
Right. And also you have the issue with the Winter Olympics with the hockey. So
which they put the brakes on that.
Yes.
They're like, pump the brakes, which is still to come. Will the NHL play in the Winter Olympics?
That's a negative, Ghost Rider. Yes.
No, they will not. They've said no. And for two reasons. One, they don't want to send players internationally.
Right.
And two, they need that time now to reschedule their games because they usually take a break, if you recall.
Collectively.
And now they're going to use that time to play games.
I mean, you have to. I mean, at some point, you
got to take care of your home product first.
Absolutely. And if you're an owner, you don't care anything about international play. Most
of them didn't want to send their players anyways.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, on the other side,
college.
We actually, do we pay the research team like double time today? It's Christmas Eve. They get overtime at least? Come in and work on that?
They get some cookies.
Oh, Meg made us cookies.
That's true.
Shout out to the Megster.
Yeah.
Megster.
Hey, there you go. You're supposed to give her a shout out.
Damn, we're supposed to give her a shout out in the first.
Oh, damn.
Can we go back?
we went way off the rails the first segment.
Yeah.
So
we'll send her a video or something. We'll send her a Snapchat or something.
We love you, Megster.
But on the other side, Pump the Brakes and a Christmas edition of Dad Jokes coming up on Train and Grose. Speaking of ESPN, sorry, I'm recording. What's his name? Is it Paul Feinbaum?
Yes, for the SEC. Yeah.
How much of his check comes directly from the SEC?
All of it.
Get
a haircut, by the way.
Get it.
When I was getting my haircut, in addition to the NBA talk, I heard him, he didn't even remember Michigan and Cincinnati's name. Now, I mean, say what you will.
He doesn't care about Michigan and Cincinnati. They don't pay his bills. Have you heard him talk about Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah.
It's like the redheaded stepchild. I mean, he just goes in on Jim Harbaugh. And the fact that he had to eat all of those words after they won their conference championship game.
Well, he said something yesterday like, Michigan doesn't have a chance against Georgia, so we just get ready for. And that, I don't know.
I mean, can we get a haircut though? I mean, the whole cul-de-sac flow that's not working.
So that's where his head's so big it takes all day to cut his hair.
We've talked a lot about hair cutting today. Big heads, hair cutting.
Gave a shout out to the product, to the place where you get your hair cut.
V's.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. I mean, hey.
Gotta write that down. Anyways, whether they got double time or not, we do have a
Pump the Brakes
list.
Yep, I'm going to give you guys some topics, some statements, if you will. You tell me if you're pumping the brakes on them or if you're rolling with it. We're going to start where you just were in college football.
All right.
Pump the brakes or not. Michigan or Cincinnati will shock the world come the 31st.
Oh, Cincinnati ain't shocking nobody. Cincinnati is going to be shocking because it may be 40-something to nothing.
Okay. What about Michigan?
Michigan has an outside chance. They have an outside chance.
But are you pumping the brakes or not?
At what?
One of the two of them will shock the world.
No, I'm not pumping the brakes because they will shock, but not in a positive way. They will shock because they're gonna get gonna get ugly.
Will one of the two pull an upset?
No.
Okay, so we're pumping the brakes. Sorry, Gross. I was trying to get your Michigan.
I saw.
I mean, they're just bad matchups. Cincinnati does not match up with Alabama.
Nope.
And Georgia does, and Michigan does not match up with Georgia.
Well, and now you got a pissed off Georgia team too, right? After the way Alabama did them, they're praying they get another shot at that game.
Can we just call college football what it is? It's really the SEC and them. Mm-hmm. Like that's really what it is.
SEC and Friends. It's like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, it's SEC and Friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, because everything is geared towards the SEC.
Yeah.
These matchups were set in place for the SEC to have a rematch.
Hey, boo boo bear.
I mean, it's like Hanna-Barbera land back.
Yeah, I look. I'm a Michigan fan. I mean,
I'm rooting for Jim.
Go for it.
I'm rooting for
It would be a shock to the world.
But is it going to happen?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, Cincinnati's a 2-touchdown underdog, and that's generous.
That's very generous.
Because I think, if it was if you actually put those points on the scoreboard, 14 to start, it wouldn't be enough. if they got a 14-point head start?
The only prayer that they have that it doesn't get really ugly in the first half is that they get the first half kickoff. They receive the ball. Because if Alabama gets the ball and they set that tone all the way down the field, boom, 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 touchdown, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
And if Cincinnati can somehow play keep away from the Heisman Trophy winner and the rest of that offense, then they got a chance to keep it respectable.
To your point about Michigan, though, the one, as a Michigan fan, what I liked the last 2 games that they played was it wasn't barely winning something.
No, they were dominant.
They were 42 points in each of the last 2 games played, and it wasn't that close against Ohio State. They physically beat up Ohio State.
Yes, they did.
And Iowa never had a chance.
Never.
And so I feel good about that. And even with that, I don't think it's enough. The other thing is how will teams, because we talked about this off air, and I hate to keep going back to this, COVID will play a part in the bowl games. We already talked, I think, off air about Rutgers filling in for Texas A&M. Georgia's getting hit by COVID right now. They got a couple players down, and they're circling the wagons in Ann Arbor. Like nobody went anywhere. They all stayed in Ann Arbor.
Well, they all did a team.
They did the team booster shot.
As a team.
The captains said, "Hey, we're getting the booster. Say what you will about shots and whatever. Mm-hmm. They're doing it as a team." So it just feels a little bit different. But I think Georgia is just, all things being equal, 7-point favorite. That feels about right. And I'd love to say no, but I'm with B-Train.
But has Jim Harbaugh already won this season?
Yes.
Based on where he is today.
Yes, he's in the
The narrative has
playoffs.
changed completely.
Right.
In a matter, literally, I was going to say 2 weeks, but since Thanksgiving, the narrative for Michigan football has changed. Had he lost to Ohio State.
Or Iowa.
Especially Ohio State.
Right, yes.
Because that was the first Big Ten championship game.
Yes.
I think that we'd be having a different conversation because it would have been the same old. He was 10-2 or whatever, but same old Michigan.
He was hanging by less threads than those stockings on your shirt after the Michigan State game.
Wow.
Am I right?
Wow.
Am I right?
After the Michigan State game, absolutely.
He had less threads hanging onto than those stockings on your
and that's what I said.
ugly Christmas sweater.
The narrative has gone in a complete 180, but I don't know that that's enough against Georgia when they play on Friday.
Yes,
a week from today.
31st.
A week from today.
Yeah. Okay. Keeping it in playoffs, but switching to the NFL. This is the second year now where we've had the new format. 7 teams instead of 6. Only 1 team getting a bye. You buying or selling the new format? Or pumping the brakes or not on the new format, I should say.
No, I actually like the format.
I do too.
I like it. I used to love the idea of 2 guys getting the bye because the top 2 teams be the top 2 in 16 teams.
Yeah.
That you have earned.
Now
something.
you really earn it though.
Yeah, but to now have only 1 and everybody else got to duke it out. The NFL always wins because it just means more money for them, more games that have to be played. So they always come out on top. But I think from a aesthetic standpoint, you see all these teams fighting for one thing.
Yep.
It's just like once you get to the playoffs, everybody's fighting for that one goal. Yeah, it makes sense to fight for that one spot.
Gross?
No, I totally agree with you, and we talked about this earlier when we were talking about the NFL. Parity, TV games that matter.
Yep.
In the past, you would look at this time of the year when you had 2 teams going, and you would say, okay, they're shutting it down.
Yep.
There were times where teams could take the whole month of December off.
Indianapolis Colts.
And sometimes it came back and bit them in the backside when it came to the playoffs. Exactly. The only team right now that you can make an argument for that probably will have the opportunity to shut it down is the Packers. Right?
They might have to because they really need to rest for Aaron Rodgers and some of their other players.
But other than that, I mean, when you're talking about going 12, 13 teams deep,
yep.
The money part, absolutely. But, if you're a fan of a team right now that's in the 13th spot, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, they probably have even more harsh feelings than we do about Baker Mayfield. But guess what? They're going to watch.
Yeah.
They're going to be watching.
See, and that's why originally when they made this change last year, I was kind of apprehensive to the whole idea, just because it used to be, like you were saying, B-Train, you really earn it to get that bye week.
Yep.
Just to get into the postseason when it was only 6 teams, you really earned it.
Yeah.
And so adding more teams is like, now half the damn league's getting in. But when you look at the standings like you're just laying out for this year, Grose, it's still as competitive as can be to get into the postseason tournament despite the one extra team. So it didn't really lose anything by adding that extra team.
And you have more fan bases feeling like they have a chance.
Late in
more
the year.
fan bases are in it to the end, to the very end.
I mean, even my Raiders are 7-7 right now. Still control. They control their own destiny. Well, before they lost their coach and then the Henry Ruggs situation and all the injuries, they had wins against the Ravens, they had wins against the Steelers, they had wins against the Browns, they had wins against the Dolphins. All these teams that they're fighting for, they have the tiebreaker over because before their team fell apart, they were winning those football games. Yeah. Are they going to get in? No. And that's actually where we're going to go with our next Pump the Brakes question.
But there's a chance.
There's a chance. Rapid fire. So literally just say pump the brakes, and we'll hit the button, and then we'll give our context on the backside.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the teams that are currently in the outside looking in, but in the hunt, right? In the AFC, right now, these are your wild card teams. Right now, the Colts are a wild card team, the Chargers are a wild card team, and the Bills are a wild card team. They're all 8-6. So I'm going to give you these names. You simply say pump the brakes, they're not getting in, or I think they're getting in. Ravens.
They're not getting in.
So you're pumping the brakes on the Ravens. Steelers.
They're not getting in.
Gross.
Pump the brakes on the Steelers.
Steelers out too. Yeah. I think we'll all pump the brakes on my Raiders.
Pump the brakes.
How about the Dolphins?
Pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
Really? All right. Cleveland Browns.
Pump the brakes.
And your Denver Broncos.
Hard pump the brakes.
Can't argue. Pump the brakes.
So the teams that are in, the only one I would disagree with B-Train on is the Ravens.
You think the Ravens are getting it? You know Lamar Jackson's not playing again this week.
And they have 9 players on the defensive side right now in COVID. They had on Wednesday they had 13 defensive players available to practice.
Okay, listen.
That's crazy.
So think about this. They had 13 defensive guys able to practice, but think about all of the early season injuries. They already had their secondary
destroyed,
and the running
backs. That's before you get to this situation where 13 guys are healthy.
I think they're just up against it.
I agree with that, but the only thing is the team that's number 7 right on top of them. If we could give our postseason awards right now for the most disappointed team in the NFL this year, it's got to be the Buffalo Bills.
Oh yes,
and they're number 7.
Yes,
and they still have to play the Patriots
again.
Now the one thing that the Ravens have going for them is, do you trust anybody in that AFC North right now? The Bengals?
I trust the Bengals.
Steelers?
I trust the Bengals.
I trust the Bengals more than anybody right now.
I trust the Bengals.
Like I said, I look at this Buffalo team on, and if you told me that went side, why is this team basically a 500 team? They should be better.
Right.
They should be much better.
They're 8-6 right now.
And on primetime games, they've been handled.
Yeah, awful. And they got embarrassed in that weather game, right, where the Patriots
Who's
just
been worse in primetime games,
the
the Cardinals or the Bills?
You're right up there. Let's do the NFC real quick. It's a much shorter list.
Wow.
Your wild card teams right now.
Okay.
Rams, 49ers, Vikings. Okay. Teams on the cusp. Are the Saints getting in?
No.
Your Eagles.
Yes.
I agree with that.
I like the Eagles better than the Vikings.
Jalen Hurts each week makes me more confident in him and that team.
Could be the most disrespected quarterback in all the NFL.
I agree.
Could be.
I like the Eagles better than the Vikings.
So do I.
And that schedule, that's doable.
The Washington football team.
No.
And technically, the 6-8 Atlanta Falcons.
No.
Matty Ice, baby. No.
No. Hell no.
All right. So we're all thinking the Eagles replace the Vikings as that 7 seed, and we all think that the 49ers are still going to keep that spot, and you get three NFC West.
Well, they're a game up on the teams behind.
They're 8
right?
Well, they're half a game now. They're 8-7. The Vikings are 7-7. Saints and Eagles both 7-7 as well.
And I forget where the tiebreakers go for the wild card.
Well, the Saints got the Dolphins this week on Monday night, but they don't have.
They
a
could
quarterback.
lose that game.
Well, they're down to their 3rd quarterback.
Trevor Siemian.
The 4th quarterback. Fourth
the
rookie.
The rookie.
Ian Book.
Notre Dame.
Yep. Put the one on the dome, baby. Yep. 3-year starter, by the way.
All right. So next question, real quick, because I want to get some pop culture in too.
All right.
You have experience with this.
Okay.
The NFL Pro Bowl needs to go back to Hawaii. Pump the brakes or not?
Pump the brakes.
Really?
Get rid of it. Just make it an honor. Just make it a evening where you get honored. You don't need to play a game. They don't want to play.
That's why I was bringing it up, because every year you get these alternate. It's basically the Pro Bowl.
I don't even know where is it this year.
It's in Vegas.
I mean, it's been in the last 5 Pro Bowls. They didn't even play one last year.
Yeah, they did the Madden thing, remember?
Okay, so
did anybody miss
I think
it?
they need to. No,
I
think you need to do that. I think you need to just make it an honor. Because do away with all the alternates and all that.
When
other
you
stuff,
went, though, it was a
trophy.
different mentality, right? Guys wanted to kind of be there, wanted to play.
It was a different mentality
the
because
trip out there.
It was the last game of the season. It was after the Super Bowl.
Right.
So you got to see the guys that actually played in the Super Bowl that wanted to come. And most of the guys that played in the Super Bowl wanted to come. That year, it was the Patriots. That's how I got to meet Tom Brady. And I had the whole situation with Bridget Moynihan. I told you about that.
Yeah.
And then you had the Eagles. Not the Eagles.
It's like, which Patriots Super Bowl was it?
Yeah, it was. No, it was the Patriots and the
Panthers?
It was Patriots and the Eagles. It was
Eagles?
Patriots and the Eagles. Yeah. The T.O. game where
with the broken leg.
And so, I got to play with those guys. T.O. didn't play. He was named to the Pro Bowl. But, I mean, Donovan, that started off our friendship. So I love the idea of playing, but now I just think it's become such old news, and guys have gotten silly with it. It's just become a mockery of itself, and I didn't like it when it started becoming a mockery.
And to your point, like, you can make it an honor.
It's still an honor to be voted.
No, exactly. Make it an honor. Don't have a game, but do almost like the NHL does, where go to Vegas. Vegas is a great place. Now that you have a team there, do the NFL awards weekend or whatever you want to call it. Build an event around the weekend like the NHL does.
You know what I miss?
And do it, but not have a game on the field.
Here's what I would suggest. I think you tie in the Pro Bowl with the NFL honors, because the NFL honors is still kind of stuck in that no man's land.
Super Bowl week.
In the middle of the Super Bowl week.
It's weird.
So the guys that are actually playing in the Super Bowl don't get a chance to take part in that. Why would you penalize them for doing all of that work during the season to now they can't even be a part of it? I know for a couple years, Matt Ryan didn't get to be a part of it when he was MVP.
Yeah.
Cam Newton didn't get to be a part of it when he was MVP because they both were playing in the Super Bowl and they were having to be restricted by their teams. They had to do some like video message, hey, I'm really honored to have received this. And I mean, it never felt right.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's the whole no dead air mentality. So like in radio, you don't want dead air, right? You don't want just to put everything on pause.
Do it after the Super Bowl. And make all of those. I'm sorry. I was
going to say, I think the NFL is the whole no dead air mentality. They don't want that week to feel empty. So they want to plug it with Pro Bowl, plug it with honors. And I agree with you, but I think that's what their mindset is.
For 30 years they did it the way that I did it after the Super Bowl, and it was just fine. Nobody had no issues with the week of the Super Bowl having dead air. There was plenty of storylines to talk about leading up to that week. So to me, you're just being greedy. It's not dead air.
I agree.
They're just it's greedy. That's what that was.
And to the point, everybody I think agrees that what they're doing now doesn't work. So
players don't want to go.
But how do you but how do you have an NFL honor show and then the guy that's the most honored isn't there?
No, I think that's a great idea.
Put it all in one big loop.
Yeah.
So now
bring them all someplace.
Take them all to Hawaii. Take them to Hawaii. So now it's a big to do because now the guys are going to want to come because now you don't really know who's going to be the MVP. So if there's still a little unknown, you still have incentive to go.
It almost has the Heisman feel, right?
It has the Heisman feel, and
all the awards.
All the awards, the Rookie of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, the Coach of the Year, exactly. All of those people get recognized. It's not like the NFL can't afford it.
Right.
Let's not act like they're
made for
going to be
TV
strapped.
event. It's like the Grammy
Who
Awards.
wouldn't watch that?
You know what I miss too? Back in the day when you guys used to go to Hawaii, they used to record like the NFL quarterback competition that same time.
Yeah.
And then they'd run.
NFL
but they wouldn't play it until the preseason of the next year. But I used to love that stuff, man. It was
the 40, like who was going to beat Darryl Green that year? Because he would always hit the 40.
Yeah, that was fun, man. I think you do it all the same week. Do all of that.
Absolutely.
Let's send a memo to New York City.
Roger on line one.
Listen to us.
Roger on line one.
I got you.
Pop culture time.
All right.
We touched on this off the air. Bring it to the air.
Okay.
Pump the brakes or not. It's okay to open at least one present Christmas Eve.
Pump the brakes.
My man didn't even hesitate.
Leave Christmas as it is. That's when you open up Christmas gifts. I understand if you've got multiple families and you live in town with your family and you've got to kind of appease two different family groups.
Sure.
I get that.
But in terms of your local household, your household.
I'm not opening anything until the 25th.
I'm with you. Pump the brakes.
Totally agree. I'm glad we're all on the same page.
There's a big conversation in my house last night about this.
Yes.
Let's just open one.
No.
Last night?
Happening.
Christmas Eve?
No.
What, you guys celebrating Festivus?
No. Christmas Eve, let's open one.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, but you had the discussion on Christmas Eve.
Gotcha.
That's what he said.
Gotcha. Okay.
I ain't doing it.
Yeah, I'm not having
I say we ain't doing it. I don't get a vote in my house, so
Wow.
we'll see.
Wow.
Not having it.
So speaking of pop culture, let me throw one in here real quick. What is the best Christmas song of all time?
You were singing one of mine earlier, Christmas in Hollis.
Wow, Run
100%.
DMC.
It's just so good. It's got energy. It's fun.
Wow.
It's good.
Mike, what say you?
We already talked about this right after Halloween. It's Mariah Carey.
It can't be Mariah Carey.
All I Want for Christmas?
Hey, listen, it's a good song, right? You can't help but it's a good song. If you're saying it's not a good song, you're just lying to everybody. You're just lying to yourself. It's a good song, but it can't be your favorite, right?
No.
I'm pumping the brakes on it.
Mine is Christmas Time Is Here by Vince Guaraldi.
Yeah.
It's such a classic.
It's pretty good.
Especially when the kids sing it. Like, you've heard all these covers and all these professionals do it, and they sound great, don't get me wrong. But there's something about when you hear the kids do it.
Yeah, it's good. Mariah Carey?
No.
You're not burnt out on it yet?
Pump the brakes on Mariah.
No, I mean, it's a good song, right? Like, we'd be lying to ourselves if it wasn't a good. It's catchy, it's poppy, it's fast, it's, you know what I mean? It's good. It's a great song. But it hasn't, the burnout factor hasn't hit you yet.
Speaking of Meg, who made the cookies for us, it'd be Little Drummer Boy by Justin Bieber.
Oh, they're
Wow.
by Justin Bieber.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Let me ask you this: Christmas music overall, is it a thing for you? Do you get excited when it starts to play? You pump the brakes.
I was filling in for you on your radio show this week.
Yeah.
We were in studio.
Okay.
And
down the hall is.
You share a studio
Yeah.
with, or the building with KEZ
Sure
in
do.
town,
Yeah.
who starts playing Christmas music 24/7. Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Wow.
And I took a picture and put it up on social media, and people went crazy. They loved it. You put in a request. Is Beth still there? All of it.
Wow.
Beth called security on me.
Who's this guy with a sweater with stockings on it,
Hi, Beth.
taking pictures through our
Security.
window?
Wow.
But
That's
any Christmas music overall,
I'm all right with it.
you good with it?
I'm good with Christmas music.
Yeah,
It's
fine.
good. Most of it is actually pretty good when it's composed. You know, it is composed good, and if you take out the lyrics, you can listen to the instrumental all year.
All right, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you take the words out, because, you can't be talking about Christmas in July.
I'm trying to think of what my 100% favorite Christmas song. I have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you already said Christmas and holidays.
It's one of it.
That was your
It's the one that
initial
comes
response.
right away.
Yes, that's your favorite, because that's the one that came off right out the
It
gate.
is. It is.
Just like for me, Christmas Time Is Here. I don't have to think about it. Christmas Time Is Here. That's my
just
song.
solid.
That's my favorite song.
All right. Yeah. There it is.
All right, what else you got?
That's it. That's Pump the Brakes right there. It's time for dad jokes. You're
All
up,
right.
sir.
All right.
This is how it's going to work. I give B-Train the no matter what on the joke. Now it's going to be followed with a little laughter. Or if it's over the top. But there is that chance.
Yeah, whatever.
What do you got? You got a text message you're showing us.
Do your thing, but then I got a dad joke for you.
Did you
Somebody
get a
just sent me
submission?
a text. Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
We have people submitting dad jokes now.
Yeah.
This is money.
That's when you know it's taking a life of its own.
It's a
gotta
Christmas themed dad joke,
Get
too.
the glasses out. I love it.
All right, here we go. I'm thinking of having my ashes stored in a glass urn. You're already laughing.
He's got to start over. You blew it.
He's killing me. All right, here we go.
The delivery,
at the glasses.
delivery is everything.
Take two. I'm thinking of having my ashes stored in a glass urn. Remains to be seen.
That's good. That's very good. It's a little dark for Christmas, but
Well, that's
it's
true.
good. It's a little dark.
It's all right. It's all right.
Here's the one I got. Here's a submission I just got.
All right,
Not to step on your toes.
We're grading this.
All right, I'll take
and
the
people
grade.
can submit dad jokes going forward, and we will pick one and grade it on the air.
What do you call a Christmas tree that knows Kung Fu?
What is it?
Spruce Lee.
It's good. Who's the author?
I got it from Karen.
I got a bonus one. I got a bonus
there
one.
we
All right,
go.
what do you got?
All right, here we go. So Why did the tomato turn red?
Why a B Train?
Because it saw the salad dressing.
It's good. It's good. It's blushing. It's good.
All right. That's going to do it.
All right.
Episode 57 of Train and Grose. We're glad you found us. Follow us on Twitter at Train and Grose.
There you go.
And from all three of us, have a very Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. We'll holla.